We are live. It is 3:03 p.m. Central Standard Time in the United States. It is 9:03 BST in the UK. This is the Nomad Tech Project with Sam and Joe.
Hey.
There you go. And if you're paying attention to the stream, and if you're not, you should be, we have a very special guest. We have Eazy.
Hey,
Eric from the Tech Preacher, Eazy Computer Solutions. How are you, sir? Thanks for stopping by. I know it's Sundays are busy. You're a man who's putting out content and doing all the stuff. So, man, thanks for stopping by. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show.
Man, let me tell you what, man. The privilege is all mine. It's always wonderful to go back and to be in these communities, man. This is what we do here every day. This is what I do every day. So, it's all good to be here, man. I love it. I love it. Tech is good, man.
Absolutely, and in full disclosure, I've been a fan of your channel for years, and I started watching you when I started getting into tech. I guess I got into tech kind of late with the iPhone 4. That was my first smartphone, as it were. And then after having it for a while, I got a Windows phone, and then I started looking at how to use a Windows phone. And sure and behold, I stumbled upon your channel and a couple of others, and I've been a fan ever since. So it's to be honest, it's an honor because, like I said, I'm not just a fellow creator, which I don't really think we are. We're just tech. We're just
we just tech nerds.
But it's having people that I've been following for years come on is just I can't even tell you how cool it is. So I really
Simon's got his popcorn ready. He said
popcorn is ready, and I was going to ask you, Mike. My first question is like, so how did that tag? I know everybody's got a tagline. I know you've been doing that for get your popcorn ready. Let's go. Follow me on this event. Like, how did that happen? Is it I know you want to differentiate, but where did that kind of start, and how did you kind of develop that as far as it?
So I was making videos just every day. Like, I'm just dropping videos every day. And one of the things that I had to sit back and think about, I want people to follow me on the journey. I want people to feel what I'm trying to deliver, right? So I say, you know what, and I think I was watching an ESPN show, and one of the guys like, yeah, get your popcorn ready. It's like, all right, cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, but I wanted you to follow me on this journey. So I think I was saying, follow me on this journey before I say, get your popcorn ready. So I started saying, get your popcorn ready and follow me on the journey, because that word right there, follow me on this journey, is I want you to feel what I'm trying to express. Right. And so when I say get your popcorn ready and follow me, I want people hype. I want people to feel what I'm about to deliver. And I come with that strong intro, and then I get into the video. Then everybody turned it off after that. After I said
no. Yeah. No, not at all. No. Like the funny thing, we were just talking before the show that I was just watching your video about the 3 tech myths about having older Android devices. And I have to admit, I was like, yeah, I mean, even if you don't necessarily agree and maybe you need the latest and greatest, your arguments are sound. And so it's like, if I don't 100%, maybe I still have an S23, which I don't. But if I did, I kind of see where you're coming from. And I really appreciate that all your videos in your career have been really coming from, I mean, you get heat for the V60 and all that kind of stuff, but you're coming at it from trying to make a point that if you'd like to go with the greatest and latest greatest, that's great. But you don't have to, and don't get into that kind of echo chamber bubble where you think that you have to stay up with the Joneses, right? You can still rock 3, 4, even 5-year-old devices and still
100%
get what you're doing. So I really appreciate your approach, and that's probably why I've been a fan for all these years.
Well, one of the biggest issues is that I think the peer pressure, and believe it or not, we're adults, right? So I can't understand why peer pressure affect people into debt. Because in the United States, most people usually go finance a phone and think about this, right? I mean, long time ago, it used to be for 2 years. Now they're up to 3 years. And I think some plans are 3.5 years. I mean, you don't finance a phone for 3.5 years, right? That just don't make no sense. I mean, you finance a car for 5 years, but you're going to finance a phone for 3.5 years? This doesn't make sense. So my whole plan of thought is this. Don't get caught up in the hype. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. They got fantastic devices out there, that budget-friendly devices. They give you better bang for your buck, very good, power. I mean, everything you need in a device, you can get it, and you can get it less of the price. Also, I stress about waiting. When you buy a device when it first come out, you're paying full MSRP in the Android ecosystem, you falling for the banana in the tailpipe, because I mean, you don't get MSRP on the Android device, or you just wait 2 months and get it 30% off, or find deals and all kinds of different things that you can find to get that device to save money. That's the whole thing, and I preach that a lot.
Absolutely. And just so we put it off to the side, and I know it's a little of a side, I want to let everybody know in the chat that Aditya passed his medical. So he is now Dr. Aditya Anil. So fan of the show, congratulations, man. That's a long journey. It's been years and years, and he's an awesome man. So I wanted to tell him I am proud of him. He has fought through a lot of stuff, and becoming a doctor. When I saw medical school Eazy, I'm like, yeah, fuck all that. I'm not. Nope. no, sir. First of all, it's a lot of school, and that's a lot of money, and so I wanted to tell him that we are proud of him, and congratulations, Dr. Neil. Thanks for being such a fan of the show. So, and I agree with you. Like I said, I think that you make the point, and I think Juan makes the point that I really think that people generally overbuy power. I mean, they really, and it's funny because when it comes to the computers or tablets, they really don't. But man, with phones, people don't realize how much really horsepower they're really packing into these devices. And I was just looking at picking up an N30, like a OnePlus N30, looking at the specs and go, this phone, yeah, maybe has an old chip's old 695, but for what I'm trying to do, it really could actually hit all those bases at a $299 price point. I mean, it's like,
it's not just the power, it's the specs. They don't use they don't use all the cameras, they don't use all the features, they don't use half the device.
And so I guess my question is, do you think that Eric, do you think they're chasing clout? Do you think it's because I can flex because I got the newest thing? Like, what do you think drives that behavior where they see these phones? You got like a mid-range Samsung. Now I can understand maybe 5-6 years ago, mid-range were definitely mid, right? But now mid-range are the new flagships, right? So what do you think drives in 2023? Like, why are we still in these $1,800, $1,300, $1,500, $1,000 price points when they don't need it? What do you think drives that, in your opinion?
I think you got a couple of things that's happening. Uneducated people. That's one thing, right? I think you have a lot of uneducated people that don't understand processing powers, RAM. They don't understand specs, period. You got to remember, most users use 1/10 of the power that's in a current smartphone. So if they only use 1/10 of the power of their current smartphone, getting a device with 12 and 16 gigs of RAM and with these high-end 3 gigahertz processors means nothing just to open up Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. That means nothing if you're not doing high-end programming like video editing or photo editing, or you're doing 8K recording or something like that. That's what the processing power is for. If you're using, like, got Samsung device like Samsung Dex, multiple displays, those are the type of things that utilize the power that's inside the device.
Right.
Buying a $2,000 device just to open up Twitter every day and saying that you're a power user, you're really not a power user. Just make sure we understand something. People say they're power users, but in actuality, they're not power users. You think about that. If there's a way you can look at the stats on your phone that let you know how much RAM you be using, pretty much every day, how much processing power you're using. And if you look at it, most users probably probably only using maybe about 2 or 3 gigs of RAM. They're really not using that much power and stuff like that. So I think that if people are just not well vested, educated on how devices work, that's one thing. The second thing is that people fall for the banana in the tailpipe called hype. It's all hype, nothing, no substance to it. It's that I can flex, I'm the bigger guy, I'm gonna show you my device, blah blah blah. I'm gonna spend $2,000 on the device and blah. Listen, man, that's in nowadays with inflation being high, people really strapped for cash. Spending $1,500 and $2,000 on a device, knowing in 6 months it's gonna be half the price, is asinine. These people just well not educated.
Yeah, so it's just crazy to me. And like I said, I'm glad you talking that, and I think you do that in your videos. And I think I think I looked at your sub count, which is stupid. I don't even care, but I know you have more reach than the sub count would indicate. And I think people really, and I know your streams, and I guess that's what Juan talks about, like education, like a really. If you want to go there, go there. If you don't want to go there, you don't have to, especially now. maybe 5-10 years ago, maybe you had to, right? The mid-range devices, Alcatels, some of those devices were really, if you paid $200, you got $200 and you had a lag experience, but you don't have to be there anymore. And I think we need that conversation needs to be brought forward. And I'm glad you're bringing that forward.
So I like what Barry says about, but YouTube say Tensor 2 is trash. How are you not convinced?
Well, and he thinks I'm going insane. And like, I love how he thinks that this.
Oh, he went insane a long time ago.
No, I've been crazy for a long time. But again, like I said, I understand that there are markets like in India, specs matter, right? They want to throw, but really,
it's status, isn't it? Like,
if you're going to argue to me that the Tensor 2 is garbage chipset, then why are you buying Pixels to begin with? Yeah. I mean, I know it's a 7A processor, right? But it's also the 7 and 7 Pro. But the hardware, it's like, but you're not buying the Fold for that. You're buying the Fold because either you're like me, who have had foldables, right? Folding devices, and you want to get in on that, or you're new to that, and a Pixel's a known brand. Google's a known brand. So you're like, this is the first iteration, but I don't understand. It's just, I guess it's a talking point just to drive clicks, because then you'll get people who agree and go, yeah, Tensor 2 is trash, or people who disagree like me and try to argue that, and that drives engagement, and that's what you want.
But the thing is, the people that aren't educated, they watch these YouTubers and Tensor 2 is trash.
Well, they watch YouTube and they watch,
and then they go and buy a Samsung A54.
Right? That's how it goes, right?
Well, one of the biggest problem is that they don't understand Google. The concept of Google, they don't understand Google. You have to remember, Google their focus is on the AI technology to give you experience. They're not going after the power user, the person that wants this everything in one device. They're looking to give you a well-balanced experience, and I think that's where people get lost at, right? The Tensor and think about this. They went from using Snapdragon process to their own silicon, right? Okay, right. Everybody said, well, it comes from Samsung. Well, somebody got to build it, right? I mean, come on, let's be real here, right? So I think what people fail to realize is that anything we're dealing with Google Pixels or Google Foldables, they're not trying to be the Galaxy Fold. They're not trying to be, Samsung. They don't think about it. I mean, Samsung put everything in the kitchen sink in their device. If you want that, then buy Samsung. You don't have to criticize a Google product because it's not a Fold. It's not a Galaxy Fold. They don't want to be the Galaxy Fold. They want to give you a clean bill of Android with a good experience behind it. That's it. Only tech enthusiasts go haywire over, oh my God, it's not having the power and stuff like that. And look, us tech reviewers, we do hold our feet to the fire when it comes down to, hey, look, the processing power and stuff like that, and with the price. We do hold them accountable for that. We have to hold them accountable for that. But we have to also talk about the purpose of some of these devices. What the company intended this device to be for. Like if Google wanted pen support, they would have put pen support on the device. Right. But they don't want that. So it's not for those people. And I think once we get to that point, that people need to understand, first thing they say is trash. First thing they say is this, but I always say you're not a true techie if you don't understand tech. You're not a true techie if you don't understand tech. And that's my thing.
Yeah. And like I said, and friend of the show, Adam Matlock, said he's returning his Fold. And his argument was not because the Fold is trash. It's because he wants pen support, and the Fold for him is, for his workflow, works better for him, and he already has the Fold. Right. So that I can't argue with that. Like I said, he didn't just buy it and say, "Well, this." He didn't say the Pixel.
I could argue with that.
Okay, well let's have that debate.
I'll say get yourself a tablet with pen support instead, and then have a Fold.
Well, he told it, but he also qualifies and says that Fold 4 has removed all his need for a tablet. Again, Adam's talking about his workflow, his approach.
It's personal, isn't it?
You shouldn't buy it because it's trash. He's saying, I just found that the Fold 4 works for me. I like the stylus. I use the stylus. The Fold doesn't have that. And if $1,800, if all subsets were equal, or all feature sets were equal, I could get down with this. But for me, it doesn't work. For you, it might be great, because if you're new to foldables and you don't care about pen support, it's a Google Pixel. It's gonna rock, right? And so I like how he approaches it too. It's
interesting because not many people use the pen. Not many people use the pen.
Right? Like Eric says, right? Just people just go, oh, it's trash. Have you actually used the device? No, but I heard. I had it for 4 days.
Yeah.
You don't know shit.
It's just one of those things for me, right? Here's the thing for me. I think, I don't know if I fall in a different category because I look at things for the perspective of the device itself, right? So I got the Pixel Fold coming in a couple of days because I ordered it. I didn't spend $1,800 for it. I only spent $1,300 for it because I learned the system and I know how to play deals. I know how to find deals, and you don't pay MSRP for anything. You look and search and squander the web to find deals. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay. With that said, I look at it a couple of different ways, right? I have the Surface Dual. I got the Fold 1, 2, 3, 4, the Flip 1, 2, 3, 4. But when I review devices like the Surface Dual, I don't compare it to the Fold, and the reason why is because the Surface Dual is not intended to be a Galaxy Fold, and that's the whole thing. So even though I would pick a Galaxy Fold over a Surface Dual, that's not the point of what the company trying to achieve. I think the point that the company trying to achieve is that the Surface Dual is intended for a different audience, business professionals and stuff like that. I think the Galaxy Fold is probably for a lot of range of people, whether or not it's going to be the regular deglers, the business professionals, stuff like that. I think, so you have to know the case scenario for each device, right? And that's the part that we as tech reviewers, we need to analyze that part. We cannot say, well, I got the Galaxy Z Fold and it's better than the Pixel Fold. Well, when you look at apples and oranges, yes, it may be, right? But Google intended this device to be something different.
Right. And same thing with the Duo. It's clearly a dual screen productivity tool.
Yes.
That's what it is. And so I love, Jojo kept, I love that. Regular degless. I love that. That's one of my favorite phrases to use. And so we're going to sidestep a bit and we're going to talk about, so my question is your background. Like, so I want to know, why did you start making videos? Like, was it because you thought it was cool? You wanted to rebut somebody? You just thought, well, hey, if they're doing it, I could do it. Like, what was the genesis of your Eazy Computer Solution? Because I remember that was back in the day, and I even put the title as Eazy Computer Solutions because that's how as I know you. And it was like, how did it all get started? Like, what was your thought process behind it? And kind of walk us through the genesis of your YouTube channel and your journey.
So for me, it was funny, right? I was always into tech. I got 2 college degrees in computer science. I'm a computer science major, and so when I was squaring down YouTube and I'm looking at YouTube videos, and one of the things that made me start my YouTube channel is I watched a content creator make a video about the iPhone 4, maybe the iPhone 3 or iPhone 2 or whatever. And he kept on saying in the video that he was getting all day battery life on this iPhone. And I got the same iPhone sitting in my hand and I'm barely getting 45 minutes of screen on time. And I'm thinking that the YouTuber keep on saying that he getting all day battery life. And I'm saying to myself, now, wait a minute, and I'm thinking about, so do I have a dud? I mean, this iPhone 3G ain't giving me no 8 hours of screen on time like this tech reviewer keeps saying he getting all day battery life. So what I did was I'm like, well, let me get my voice out there. Let me start this YouTube channel. Let me talk about. And I had already started building up a portfolio of smartphones because I was already in it, Right. So I was like, man, let me get my head in the door. And so that's what made me start my YouTube channel. It was terrible in the beginning, but I had to find my way. And that's what made me start my YouTube channels, because I want to give. I started with the frame of mind of truth and justice. And that was my thought process, was start my YouTube channel. Now, I've made plenty of mistakes over the years when I first started my YouTube channel. And some of those mistakes that I made is I try to be somebody that I wasn't.
Right.
Because I used to follow YouTube channels and I try to mimic these folks, you know what I'm saying? With the overhead camera, try to talk like them, try to be like them. When they buy a device, I'm going to buy a device. And I started buying multiple of the same devices on different carriers and stuff like that. I started spending tons of money. I started thinking about if I do giveaways, my channel would get to 1 million subscribers in no time. And I started doing giveaways. I got bought for like 5 iPhones and gave away 4 of them. I mean, it was all kinds of things. I was buying tablets and started doing giveaways. It was a nightmare. I was going down the rabbit hole real fast, right? And I remember I tried to reach out to bigger content creators, and none of them responded back to me. I had about 500 subscribers at that time. And I felt that let's collab, because you see YouTube videos that say, hey, if you want to grow your YouTube channel, reach out to bigger content creators, collab with them, work with other YouTubers and try to grow a rapport with content. And I tried that. I emailed these folks and none of them, got back with me. And I felt, it was a depressing time for me, because I've tried to grow a channel with no thought process. And it was bad, because I put money into the buying everything. I started just buying everything that came out. I started buying, and I started being somebody that I wasn't, and I had to scale back, man, because first of all, I wasn't growing. I'm spending tons of money, thousands of dollars on product, and there's nothing happening. I'm shooting videos with smartphones, and my editing sucked. And it was bad. My first 100, 200 videos. I mean, I'm just throwing out crap, no substance, no bullet points, no. I try to be somebody that I'm not, and it was bad. And I had to sit back and scale back and think about, who am I? What do I want to be? How do I want to run this channel? How do I want to build up this portfolio? I call myself Eazy Computer Solutions. I'm making computer videos, but I started sliding into the smartphones. So I was like, okay, is it going to be about computers? Is it going to be about smartphones? What is this channel? And I did not have an identity. I didn't know which way to go. And it took me years to figure that out, by the way. And this is why I encourage a lot of YouTube content creators. When I talk to a lot of like Barry, holla at your boy Jojo, I try to be an inspiration of what I've been through in the past, the mistakes that I made in the past, to try to be better, to help other people. Because look, when I reached out to people, they basically gave me the middle finger, and they like that, you know what I'm saying? And so I had to grow my channel with the frame of mind of, I'm a lone soldier, and I had to do it, all alone. And
that makes me sad, man. That makes me sad.
Well, and I get it, because we've done it too. I've reached out to content creators, and nobody's ever been like rude, but some people just like, look, I mean, I'm busy, and people are, and their time is valuable. So I realize that, like, I'm not compensating them for them coming on our show. Right. And clearly, we're just doing this for more fun kind of thing. And when, obviously, I would love to be, a lot more, have like thousands of subscribers and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't really matter. Right. But yeah, I know it can be defeating. So I guess my question with that is, like, on that course correction, was that just you looking in? Did you get feedback from other creators? Is there one point of like, kind of like a moment of clarity where you're kind of just like I've got to course correct this channel and do something else, because this isn't me and this isn't working? Like, was it just an epiphany, or was it like feedback from other creators? Like, what was exactly that moment where it kind of was like, I need to course correct on this channel? And I don't know what to do, but I got to do something different.
Well, a couple of things happened. First of all, it was a dead stop in growth. All right. Nobody was responding to the stuff that I was doing. I also, at the end of the year, when I tally up the money I spent, it was overbearing of all the money I spent. Okay, that was one thing. So I was in this spending tons of money for no reason. And so what I had to do is I had to sit back and scale back and say, okay, how could I make this YouTube channel successful? How could I make this YouTube channel profitable? How could I do a lot of things with this YouTube? And the crazy thing about it is I own businesses. And so I built businesses from the ground up, and I could do it there, but I couldn't do it for myself. Right. And so I was like, and I talked about my wife, I call it the Oracle. And we sit up there, and she said, well, what you trying to do? I'm like, I'm trying to get information out there, be real about it, and preach the preach and talk the talk and this try to be real about it. And she's like, well, think about what you want to do and just keep on rolling with it and never give up. And I mean, it was frustrating for a long time for me. I went through a very depressed time in my life. And I can tell you, most people can know when I was depressed when I did that I'm Not Flossie Carter stream. Everybody, if you would have watched that stream, that I'm Not Flossie Carter, you knew that was my downest time. That was when I was at my lowest point.
I didn't watch it live, but I had saw it. I was like, man,
yeah, that was my lowest point.
That's tough it's tough to watch if you care about like knowing the fact that you're kind of like right at the trough, right? You're just like, man, this is because it's hard seeing, and that's the thing is, we're all people here, right? We all have emotions and we all have energy and all, you know what I mean? But watching that is tough to watch for somebody you're a fan of.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
It was bad. and I was going to at one time I was going to pull a video down. But one of the things, the real reason why I didn't pull a video down is because I wanted people to see the growth in me. I want you to see that I was down in the valley, down in the dugout. I was at my lowest point. I want people to understand that. I want people to know that I was down in the dugout. And so I wanted people to know that. And so I think when you look at how I've progressed ever since then, that was my turning point. Because I let one person, get to me. One person. They say we lost power. We still alive or no?
Yeah, well, so far so good. I
literally
I was like, it just flashed and went dark for like 3 seconds and went, oh shit.
Sam had a panic.
Hopefully my router doesn't restart, but maybe we get lucky. If not, it'll restart in 5 minutes. And Joe, then Eric, you're gonna be stuck with Joe.
Yeah,
you'll be stuck with me. Yeah,
he's good people. He takes care of us.
Man, it's all good.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
I was at a point where I was at a point of no return at that point because I felt that by me. Look, when I made that video of me not being, Flossie Carter reached out to me, and I was like, wow. So he reached out to me when I made that, and he was like, "Welcome to YouTube." Flossie Carter reached out to me, and he said, "Welcome to YouTube." And after that, I knew that. And he told me some other things, and I never talked to Flossie. That was the first time ever talking to him. And he definitely hit me up after I made that video and told me, welcome to YouTube. This is some of the trolls that you're going to encounter throughout your career on YouTube. And don't let one person get you down. And so that was a turning point for me because I finally had got some inspiration from somebody we try to, I actually never reached out to Floss, but after making a video, I'm Not Flossie Carter. It just one of those things that he reached out to me, and that was a good thing. That was very good motivation for me.
That says a lot about Flossie, doesn't it?
And another full disclosure, we're huge fans of Floss. So if he ever wants to come on the show, we'd love to have him. But he seems like a genuinely good human being, like Floss, but also Floss is kind of a baller, right? Floss is got a swagger, and if you're gonna come to him, that's what you have to, you almost have to become stoic and bulletproof because you're going to get people that are going to just irrationally be against you for no reasons other than the fact, and you can't take it personal, but it's hard when you're hearing all this negative, Eric this, and I don't like the way he speaks. And I mean, look at Viper. It's got the same problem, right? Because he's like, everybody gives it, but no matter what you do, I mean, people trash everybody. There are, there are people who aren't fans of Taylor Swift, and I throw that out to Viper because I know he likes Taylor Swift. I'm not a big fan of her music, but I can appreciate her workload. Like that, she gets down. Like she's a hard worker, and if anything, even if I don't really like her music necessarily because it's not my style, I can get down with the hustle. Like that's what you have to have, and you've got to be bulletproof, and you've got to just continue to do it. And it's tough to do nowadays because a lot of people are like, what did somebody say to me? People are way too comfortable with being disrespectful to grown-ass people they don't know around here. And it's like, and also Eric has feelings. He's not just some guy on the internet you don't know. If you say something, it's like, I mean, and here's the thing, if you don't like the content, like I've had people say our podcast sucks. Yes, I'm aware. We are not professionals. This is not our full-time job.
Who said that?
Well, people.
I'm gunning for him now.
Right. No, but I mean, it's hard. And so it's hard to not stay, especially when you're seeing no growth and you're seeing, it seems like your content. I mean, it's nice that Floss reached out to you and really kind of touched you on the shoulder and said, hey, man, this is the world you're getting into. You better get ready, because if you ain't down with the cause, you're going to get your ass kicked and you're going to get bounced right out the door. It's really hard to stay focused on that. I appreciate it.
I definitely had to regroup and think about, people on the internet, right? People that's thousands of miles from you. People, we call them keyboard warriors. People that's Iron Chest Charlie behind the keyboard. I had to realize some of those things because, those people you can't touch. Those people you will never meet. Those people that will always be behind the keyboard. And I think, for me, I had to realize that, and I had to keep it moving. And I had to. All right. So what I did was I take things two ways. I take a lot of things, constructive criticism, because I want to fix some things. I mean, some people are trolls and some people are genuinely trying to help you. So I had to think about it two ways. When somebody say your content suck, I want to know why. I mean, listen, I look at my YouTube videos. I know they suck. So I'm trying to see what do I need to do to unsuck them.
Right. Remove the suckage.
Right. I'm trying to unsuck my videos, right? So I'm trying to see what could I do to unsuck my videos. So, it's like I reach out when people say your videos suck. Okay, what is it about my videos that suck? The audio.
Feedback's a gift, isn't it? But you need real.
Are they too long? Do I not have a targeted message? Is it my language? Do I need to approach it differently? Like, that positive, constructive feedback is key, and I think that's.
Give me something to work with, like.
Yeah. So, and I guess my question is, what people are those people that was it just general commenters, or was it more people in the community, like other creators are like, hey Eric, man, here's some good feedback. Like I noticed the other day your video was too long. It looked like you were trying to stretch out content. It was like you were overly wordy when you could kind of be a lot more succinct. Like, was it just people in the comments? Or was it other creators that reached out to you?
So it was kind of both. When I was growing, and it was kind of both. I had people in the comments, they talked about the audio quality wasn't that great. They talked about the video quality wasn't that great. Some content creators started hitting me up and say, hey, look, you kept saying the same thing in the video over and over and over. You don't have no structure. And stuff like that. So what I did, right, and I took all that information. And one of the things that I did was I wanted to fix some things. So what I did was I wanted to fix my video. I bought multiple professional cameras to fix my video. The second thing that I do, and I'm still doing it to this day, is audio. I'm going out and I'm spending tons of money on audio and lighting and cameras and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that I got the best video and the best audio. So at least that part is fixed. Another thing that I wanted to do was fix my videos itself. So what I did was I invested in a teleprompter. And so what I started doing is scripting my videos. I started bullet pointing them first, and then I started full out scripting them. Now, when I started reading my script, yes, I go off script, but it kept me balanced. It kept me flowing. Instead of me having all these cameras on and I'm filming for 2 hours or 3 hours, using a teleprompter got me down to 20 minutes, 15 minutes. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to fix those things, because when I go back and I look at videos from 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they absolutely suck. And I do understand where people was coming from. And so what I did, I started a series of me reacting to my own videos. So I was like, I make videos about me critiquing myself, constructive criticism of myself in videos that I made in the past about how they suck, how I was not that great and stuff like that. So I think that's important to me. And look, man, I think I want to my thing is this. I want to have a YouTube channel that's fair and balanced. I want my channel is about revolve all things tech, not just about smartphones. I'm here to help other content creators. And the reason why is because I didn't get the same help that when I reached out to content creators, they gave me the middle finger. I never do that to my community of content creators. So my whole plan of thought is that I'll do anything to help my fellow content creators, get them to the next level. I give them the advice, whatever they need to help them, giving them a visual of what I see, when I watch their videos. And so I want to be genuine to people. Now, a lot of people didn't take some of my constructive criticism, and they kind of went off the deep end. But I mean, you came to me, but that's okay.
Yeah, and I want to change the angle so everybody can see how Eazy's got this lighting.
Yeah, that's the look.
It's just like it's so great. I mean, it's funny because I watch, and it doesn't. The hardware doesn't matter, but it's the approach and the professionalism that you approach to your work, and seeing the just the background and your lighting and your concept of sound and trying to make that better.
Yes,
we
he's in a starship as well.
And he's got the coolest background. And I also notice he always wears like the Star Trek outfits.
Yeah,
it's so good.
uniform.
It's so good. So, and I guess my question is, so you're, I know, so who dat, just so we're clear, right? So who dat, right? And I knew you live in Louisiana, but have you always lived there? Are you a transplant? Like what's like, have you always lived in the area? And I know if you're in Louisiana, you must like your food. So like, how does that all work? I know you live in, I don't think New Orleans, right? Or you live in New Orleans, correct?
Born and raised in New Orleans. Louisiana has been my my life from birth, and it's been absolutely marvelous. My city, my state, it's been great for me. I love the culture, I love the food, I love the people down here, and stuff like that. Despite what you see on the news all the time, we do have a very good community of folks down here, and stuff like that. But I love the food. One of the things that it's crazy when I travel, when I go out of town and I eat food, it just doesn't taste the same, right? You still eat that southern food and stuff down here. And so when we travel, when you eat the food, you're like,
it doesn't have enough. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is I've been to New Orleans a couple of times, and actually I was there about 2 months before Katrina hit. I do yourself a favor if you're in New Orleans, if you ever just don't get in an Uber, just walk around.
Yes,
and I'm telling you,
it's great.
There is something about that city. I don't want to say it's supernatural, but there's something else about that city. It's got a different. It doesn't belong in the United States. It's got a completely different vibe to it. And Louisiana's a different state for a lot of reasons, right? So they don't have counties in Louisiana; they have parishes.
Parishes, right?
Their law is based on French colonial law, not English common law. So if you're a lawyer in Louisiana, you got to go 2 extra years to take the bar.
Right.
And also, too, is the food is amazing, and just the energy of the city. I mean, it's just like everybody's friendly, but you also get this like danger component to it. But it's not danger like you're going to get mugged. It's just like you better be paying attention to what's going on around you, because it is not exactly the safest place, and it doesn't take much to step out into like some of these other areas, and you're in a different ward, and all of a sudden, if you're in the Garden District and you're taking the train, you walk around, you're fine. You start getting out a couple of wards deep, and all of a sudden, if you're out of towner, you might be in a different situation altogether, where you're I can't explain it. It's different than any other place I've ever visited. I love New Orleans.
And it's like that. I mean, I always encourage tourists that come down here. Get your hotel downtown. Around Canal or Bourbon Street, and kind of hang out in Canal Street. Yeah. And you'll be fine. I mean, because I mean, one of the reasons why a lot of people come to New Orleans, Louisiana, right? It's because of 24-hour partying. Think about it, right? You be on Bourbon Street, you got a glass of alcohol in your hand. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. Oh, yeah. You got cops looking at you like you drinking in front of police, and like, y'all just enjoy yourself. It's all good. Just enjoy yourself, and stuff like that. So I think that shocks a lot of people because I mean, in most cities, most states, you can't drink in public, right? You can't have a beer open in public, right?
I remember seeing I was a Tuesday. I went to visit it was a Tuesday, and there's Bourbon Street is packed
every day.
It's second line, and it's all crazy. And you can get yourself a cocktail. And I had a couple of Patty O'Brien's Hurricanes.
Ooh,
and I'm telling you right now, I walked out of that place and I was like, I might need help walking back to the hotel.
Yeah, they're
overdo
with alcohol. They do heavy do it. They do heavy do it on the alcohol. Now, if you get something like that, they really did. You can see them pouring the alcohol and not stopping, right? Like something.
The hurricane glass. You're like, is there a hole in that thing? Because you guys are just pouring it. And then the cool part is you don't have to drink there. You can take that glass, and just walk down the street, and nobody gives a shit. And it's this is the greatest place ever. And then and I also learned too because New Orleans at that time, Louisiana State Police, the badge on their uniform is the state of Louisiana, which I thought was kind of cool. And so there was a conference, and so I went to a place with my father-in-law at the time. He wanted to go to a strip club. I'm like, it's not my thing, but I don't want him to get mugged because he's like a guy with the flash money. I'm like, Dad, you probably don't want to be coming down here and getting stupid because you're probably going to get your ass kicked. So I went with them, and I was talking to one of the dancers, and she was like, what do you do? And at that time, I was a police officer. It's like, I'm just on vacation. She's like, oh, are you like the guys down here? And I was like, well, I don't know what the guys down here do. New Orleans police. So NOPD, the phrase for NO is not our problem, dude. That's what they call everybody, right? So I was like, what? And she goes, I don't give a shit what you have. A murder, an assault, a property crime, who cares? If you call New Orleans police officer and you say something, they'll say, not our problem, dude.
We ain't coming. They ain't our problem.
I was like, are you kidding me? They're like, yeah, man. That's how they get down here. It's just kind of the way they're very laid back on it. Unless you get online, and then they'll kick the hell out of you. So it's like, but it's just funny how she called it not our problem, dude. That's what NOPD stands for. So whenever I talk to anybody from New Orleans, they kind of laugh because you have to have bona fides, right? Oh, I've been to New Orleans. No, I've been to New Orleans, and I Big Chief Money Spray and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I love New Orleans. It's one of my favorite places to visit. It's been a while since I've been there. The food's great, the people are great, but it's a different vibe. It's a different area.
I promise. I tell anybody this: if you ain't used to partying, crazy partying,
if you want a calm situation. That is not the city to go to. It is never calm. It's the Big Easy for a reason.
You go up and down Bourbon Street, this say around Mardi Gras time, and you got it's tradition, right? You have the ladies up on top of the balconies. They're showing their stuff, for a bead or something. It's just weird, man. It's all fun. I mean, it's a culture thing that You walk out of a bar, it's 5 a.m. in the morning, the sun's starting to rise, and you looking down Bourbon Street, and you still got people down there. It's like everybody just partying, and still got drinks in their hand, and it's like 5 a.m. in the morning, and people still partying.
Well, speaking of that night that we went out, I was with my father-in-law. We had to get on. He was driving back. I had to get on an 8 a.m. flight. I looked at my watch. It was like 3:43 in the morning. I was like, oh. So I stumbled back to the hotel. My ex-wife at the time, she's like, where have you been? I was like, I'm with your father, and he's being a maniac. She goes, well, we got to get on a plane. I said, yeah, I know. So I spent the entire time, and my daughter, who was on the show a little bit ago, will attest. I spent the entire flight with my head on the seat in front of me because I was still drunk and jacked up. Now she's like, don't touch Dad. Dad's all jacked up. I was like, just please God. I had a doggy bag. I was just like ready to go, or a little throw bag. It was bad, but I'll tell you, it was one of the best places. But do yourself a favor, go to a cemetery because that's a trippy experience.
No, man.
With the green and dude, it's a trip. If you ever come, Joe, to the United States, I'm telling you, do yourself a favor, spend a couple of days in New Orleans. I guarantee it. You will be like, this is insane. It's a beautiful city. But yeah, it's I said I didn't know. And then do you do this full time or do you still have a regular 9 to 5 or do you supplement? How does that work? I don't want to get into your
I mean, so for me, I got a brick and mortar store that's in New Orleans.
Okay.
And it gives me, and I also own an online business. It gives me the opportunity as my business is do what it do for me to kind of work a lot in the studio. And I do some stock trading also in the morning. So I get up early in the morning, do some stock trading here and there. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes it'd be too tired because I stay up all night, editing, filming videos. I don't know if I want to say I do YouTube full time. My wife might say I do YouTube full time because I'm in it. Yeah, I kind of do YouTube full time because I'm in my studio 7 days a week. So I mean, usually if I'm in the studio 7 days a week, I pretty much do it full time. But I do have other obligations that I do take care of. But YouTube is definitely something that, well, let me tell you, for me, this is the good thing for me is that as I've been doing YouTube videos, I found my way doing other things behind the scenes, such as doing private videos and doing other things. I always tell people that your YouTube channel is more of your portfolio, and a lot of companies reached out to me behind the scenes, and I've done a lot of private videos, and I've done things behind the scenes that people like, and because when they look at you looked at my channel and they say, wow, your videos are so good, so professional, blah, 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 this, that, and other. But we don't want a video on your channel, but we want this video, this way. They give you a full script and everything, because those videos I would never put on my YouTube channel because it's totally scripted, and I don't have no say so in that, because I mean that's the
well, they're the customer. I mean, that's what they're asking for. They're basically, it's just like a regular sponsor, right? If you're, if you're a basketball player, if you're something you're reading like Subway, do you think that, do you think people are on those channels and like, Michael Phelps is ad-libbing that? No, he's getting a script and he's it's a paid sponsor. It's Subway. It's like, it's so it's the same problem, the same kind of thing for you. Right? And
so when I do sponsor videos on the channel, right, and I guess I'm blessed to get a lot of sponsor videos. And I do disclose that all, obviously, because of YouTube terms of service, you got to disclose that information. But my direction towards any company that want me to make a YouTube video about products and services, I make sure that they understand that I will be truthful about the product, because a lot of times you get, a lot of sponsored videos, and a lot of people kind of like, he's going to talk all positive about it. My whole thing to some companies and look, they turn me down. A lot of them turn me down because of that. I said, listen, the way I run my channel, if you want me to put a video on about your product on my channel, and you want me to review it, just understand that I will be truthful about it. I will talk about the positives and the negatives. And some companies like, I don't want any negatives. Well, obviously, you really don't want me to broadcast so it's a balancing act, because I don't want to, first of all, I don't want to be fake and phony to my viewers. Second of all, I do want to make my money, but it's a balancing act. So, sometimes you do have to turn people down. Sometimes, you say,
or
okay,
just like walk away. It's like, I don't get a good vibe about this. It just doesn't feel comfortable for me. And it probably, you know what I mean? You have to evaluate every deal that comes in. I mean, you can't just, and I get that. It makes
and it goes back to what you said earlier, like being true to yourself. Like you wanted to be true to yourself, so why would you then start lying?
Because then people are going to find out. Well, first of all, if you're talking about a specific component of that product, right? This is good, and then you'll get like, I don't know, you go to their channel and people are returning devices or talking about, well, I bought this device basically because Eazy said that this was
and
solid,
I trust him, and
I'm telling you, it doesn't take long nowadays for that to start getting traction, and all of a sudden now you're now it's like, well, I would listen to anything he says, and now you're getting negative growth because now because you're not.
Then the trolls come back,
and then you're getting legitimately trolled because now you're out of line, and now you're basically you're stepping outside your bounds, and you're getting good feedback because now you're not being truthful.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, listen, it's difficult for me to do my best to make sure that I thoroughly give my opinion about a product. But sometimes we miss some stuff. Sometimes people would they will let you know about it, say, hey, you forgot to say X, Y, and Z, they'll tell you about it. And so for me, what I try to do, and I think for a lot of content creators, they need to understand this. Especially when you're doing product reviews, we're doing promos and paid promos and stuff like that. And they have the they know that you're going to be truthful about the product. it takes a while to review some things. I mean, it takes a while to get the good, the bad, the ugly about some things. Sometimes you might find faults in it. And you know what I always do? I always give companies opportunities. So if I find a fault in a product, I email them. I tell them, I say, hey, listen, I got issues with X, Y, and Z. Either they go rectify it or they come back and say, okay, if that's fine, go ahead on and mention it in your video. So I always say that. I say, look, I came across this issue. I will put the video on pause and see if you go either send me out another product or send me out a software update to fix the product, or you aware about this issue. And so I give them opportunities before I slam a product. I mean, that you have to be truthful to the customer, because sometimes the company don't know about some issues and didn't know about this. And this is our responsibility, is to give the company the opportunity to fix it before you slam them on a video. God, that's the worst thing you could do, is slam a company on a video knowing that they didn't even know about the issue and you didn't reach out to them and tell them the issue.
And they were perfectly rectifying, where they were willing to send you a new unit, a 0-day like I said, you work in computers, you know about software development. It's like, look, you can put a build in dev, you can have a build, you can merge it, and then you can deploy it, and then it gets the prod, and you're like, holy shit, this is like, because remember, your end users are touching all sorts of applications and all sorts of like you can't smoke and regression all those, right? You're gonna miss stuff, and they're gonna say, hey, did you do regression on this? Hey, did you realize that this component of your build is wrong? And if you don't give them a chance to either send you a new hardware unit, or we knew about that in dev, we stumbled upon that as a defect, we're gonna try to see if we can squash it, or we're not going to get to that because that's way down a development cycle. We got to get, 2 or 3 cycles in. Go ahead and mention it because people may stumble upon this defect and we want to be transparent about it. I mean, I don't think people realize how much goes into software development. I'm talking about, I mean, it's like, and if you really don't understand the process, and especially these companies who are using, like, now they're leveraging cloud services, they're running legacy code. A lot of these people have dead code in their shit and they're just wallpapering it over because they don't want to remove it. And there's dev, and there's, you got local machines, and you got development and QA and smoke and regression. It's a lot that goes into this shit. I mean, it's like, we just laugh because we get the product. We're like, oh, this Duo sucks and Microsoft's shit. I'm like, do you really think Microsoft doesn't know what the fuck they're doing? I'm pretty sure they do, but they had to switch from Windows 10X to an Android build, and they had to do it in 12 months.
Oh, man,
that's a lot to do, especially when you have 2 screens and customized hardware. I mean, it's. I'm not excusing Microsoft's failure, but man, you got to give them a little bit of it sucks.
Million of code. They don't understand. It's million of code that's going in that, and you could do all the debugging in the world when it comes down to code, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes you don't catch everything, but that's where software updates come in. Think about this: the Microsoft Surface Duo was a terrible product when it first came out, right?
Oh god, yeah. I know. I bought one day one. I remember. I was like, God damn, $1,400. Okay, well, fuck it. I'm here now.
What happened after 12 months with that device? What happened? Software update after software update. It got a whole lot better.
I mean, Eric, look. I'm using it right now. I'm still using it, and everybody's like, "It's not a phone."
I've got one.
I'm pretty sure I'm taking phone calls on this thing. But I realized that too, and now it's funny. Yourself a favor, go on Swap and trying to find a Duo 2. God damn, it's impossible. And when they do sell, they're selling for $900. It's crazy.
I eventually go buy a Surface Duo 2, but my targeted price is $700.
Yeah, but I don't know if I think they're starting to come into that Windows Phone a little bit of nostalgia. And Eric, I had this for you because I knew you would appreciate this. So I kept this in the drawer.
Oh, I absolutely love it because I have the yellow one.
Absolutely. I had the AT&T Hulk green one, and I sold it to a buddy because it cracks the screen. My question is, this is going to be a dumb question, but if iOS, Android, and Windows Phone existed right now in total app parity, what device would you use right now? What OS would you use?
I would be on the Windows OS, and the reason why is because at that time, I'm deep into the Microsoft ecosystem. I was using Windows, I was using Windows phones. I actually bought a Windows, I think it was they tablet where they had that watered down version of Windows on it. It wasn't even a full Windows NT or something.
Right.
And I had one of those. I would tell you one of the reasons why I would be on the Windows ecosystem. It's because how Samsung does with Samsung DeX. You remember Windows had Continuum.
Oh yeah, and you had Cortana and all the integration and Windows Metro and 8.1 and all. Yeah, absolutely.
So what that was is that's why I'm so in love with Samsung DeX. It's because Microsoft had a vision when they Windows ecosystem. It was it was about give you an experience when I opened up an app. Like you had the tiles, you had all kinds of different things that you can customize your home screen. It's a lot of things that the OS did that made it very convenient that Windows was doing it. Plus with Continuum, it was next level. It was next level. But I think over the time you started seeing that Microsoft really wasn't into mobile. They allow Apple and Samsung and Android and all that just to roll all over them, and they didn't want to put the resources. They didn't want to take care of the developers. They didn't want to build up the app store, and developers was complaining that the code was so bad that they couldn't develop for Windows, and that's why they tried to change it, but it was too late by then, because Windows did come out with a code solution to convert code into to work on the Windows devices, but by then it was too late.
Yeah, then you had PWA that they tried to get involved, and then they try to do. I mean, and then they do have builds where you can run Android on. Right. But man, I will tell you, I still, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show among probably 10,000 other reasons to have you on. But
I never had the pleasure
because Windows Phone. Just worked, man. It worked on low-end hardware. You had the tiles, you could customize them, and you just had 2 swipes, right? You had your screen, you swipe, you get your apps. That's it. Nothing else. It was clean. It worked. Simplified. It was simple. And I'm telling you, man, I still to this day fire up my 1520 every once in a while and just try to use it. And it's so, and I know they have launchers for Android that are close, but it's not. And it really shame. And like I said, honestly, Moto's Ready 4. I've had really good experience with Ready 4. And using that on a Moto device. I honestly think that for most people, I really wish that kind of had more traction where people would really use those, because that would really eliminate any need for a Chromebook or anything else. But but the dirty little secret on Google is I think they kind of realize that kind of cannibalizes their own engagement on Chromebooks. But honestly, have you heard much about Chromebooks in the last 2 years? It's kind of it's gone. I mean, they've kind of walked away from it. Joe, have you heard? I mean, maybe on your side upon it. I mean, does anybody?
No, the only reason I've heard is because I watch Chrome Unboxed. Other than that, I don't hear.
Yeah.
Well, we know what the problem was with Chromebooks, right? Yeah. The problem was with regular Android tablets can beat them in battery life and performance.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So you're like, well, I would just leverage a tablet with a Bluetooth keyboard or just on-screen keyboard.
I mean,
it's funny you say that because I was toying with getting a Chromebook and I got a tablet in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bang on.
Yeah, Eric, that's exactly. I mean, it's like why go down that path? And I think but I mean, really, Chrome OS is kind of like I haven't heard anything from Google about it it's gone. And it's a shame.
It's more for students, isn't it? The low end laptop. That's what it's sort of meant to be. But
they're buying Macs anyway.
Yeah, but
they're buying cheap Windows.
But I never did.
No, I mean schools.
I never liked the concept of a Chromebook. I mean, you think about this, right? The Chromebook, you had to be online for everything. Most of them didn't even have storage. Then if you wanted to download apps, obviously you had to get the Google Play Store. Okay, so why not just get an Android tablet? That's what I didn't understand, the whole concept. You couldn't use it unless you was online. At least with a tablet, you could use it, play games, run apps without the website, without being online. But with Chromebooks, when they first came out, it was a shell. And that was the problem. And then when they started adding storage and they started adding features to Chromebooks, high resolution displays, then the price went up to $1,000 a Chromebook. I mean,
you might as well get a laptop.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're starting to get into Windows laptop territory. It's like then you just got to be dedicated to using a Chromebook because of the ecosystem, or just using it as a feature set, right?
It just didn't make no sense. I mean, look, even if okay, the schools use them, which they didn't convert it into like Macs right now. But the schools, and I understand their purpose, because they looked at security. They looked at that if you put a Chromebook in rooms, they wasn't able to download porn or download.
Yeah, you couldn't run an x86, or you couldn't do it right. Yeah,
right. I understand that part. Because they thought about security. They thought about kids downloading unsavory things and stuff like that. Well, you really couldn't do all that on the Chromebook. But with tablets, as an IT, you could go in and restrict a lot of stuff. That's why you can go into doing restrictions on tablets and iPads. So they can't download certain things on the website and stuff like that. So that's where the tablet came in and said, hey, everything on a Chromebook, the tablet can do better. Not only that, but you don't need to be online to do half the stuff, right? So,
and then talk to our buddy Trenton, who used to repair those from schools, and see what those kids do to those Chromebooks. I mean, they're tearing them up, breaking them, and they throw them off a building. Apparently, some of those Chromebooks look like, dude, were you walking down downtown Beirut with this thing and getting shot at? Like broken, shot up, it's got bullet holes in it. Like, what the hell? I don't know why it won't power up.
They smashed it up when they realized they couldn't get on porn. They're like, for God's sake.
Well, probably because it's got a fucking bullet hole in it. That's probably why you can't turn the goddamn thing on. I mean, what are you doing with your damn laptop or Chromebook, my man? So it's just crazy how
it was crazy, yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting how these initiatives, right? The Windows Phone and Chromebooks and things kind of ebb and flow, and how Samsung DeX and Ready For and Continuum, all these things were the next new computing wave, and how they don't really know what's going to catch, right? Nobody really knows. You put it out there, and you put your best effort forward, and
hope.
Well, I will tell you. How do you feel about foldables, real quick? I mean, do you think that that's niche? Well, is it going to catch on?
Niche.
How do you feel about that? Oh, you know what? Well, I hate your face. You're such a dick.
You liar. You love my face.
I love your face. That's why we did the show together.
So for me, as a person been using the LG V60 as almost a main device since 2020 with a dual display.
Oh, I had the G8 with the dual display. Such an awesome. Oh, so
I
good.
mean,
I love it.
I got it sitting here on my table.
Oh, he's flexing. Oh, God, it hurts.
Hey, Star Trek.
And, I got the LG Velvet. I got the LG V60. Both of them got dual displays. And I'm going to tell you, when you look at so here's the thing. The difference, and I think people getting foldables wrong also. I think the concept of the foldable is like, for me, if I'm doing a business meeting, right? When I pull out my foldable, I can show somebody on a bigger canvas, stuff like if you're a real estate agent, right? You're showing a client a house. You pull out your foldable, you open up, you got a large display to showcase off houses and stuff like that. If you're a business professional, and if you had to have somebody sign PDFs, right? Samsung phones got pen support. You got your PDFs pulled up, and you got your pen, and you having them sign it. I think those use case scenarios work great. Also, one of the reasons why I like the Samsung foldable a whole lot is because when I'm doing a business meeting and I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation, well, guess what? I got wireless decks pop up on a big screen.
Yeah, nice.
And I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going through different things, and I'm using it. Obviously, you could use wireless decks on slab phones, but what I'm saying is the use case scenario in a business environment and different scenarios. Just say if you're a car salesman and you got the foldable, you open up a client and they get to see the interior of the interior of a car on a bigger canvas, stuff like that. They get to see those type of things. I mean, I don't know if foldables are for the regular deglers, right? I mean, it's a status symbol, right? But for business professionals and for people that want to utilize the resources and for what foldables is intended to be, I think a lot of people don't understand the concept. I think people talk about price, talk about functionality, talk about it got old chipsets in it. But see, you don't understand when these high up billion-dollar companies sitting in the portfolio, sitting in their cubicles, thinking about what this foldable is intended to be. They don't grasp the concept of, I got to make sure that I get the speed, the power, the 16 gigs of RAM. They want their product to work for the intended users, and they want it to work very well for the intended users. It may not be for the regular deglers. And so I don't know how, when I hear people talk about, Pixel Fold, the Galaxy Z Fold, and all these foldables that's coming out, we have to understand what the purpose of the company thought process of these foldables. I mean, the foldables is not a slab phone. So I think, when you talk about, and listen, I think a lot of people associate price, right, with a lot of things. And I agree, prices are expensive, right? But I always talk about, this hold off a couple of months and you can get it for half price. But, I think for the most part, I love foldables. And I think I always keep me at least a V60 or a Z Fold in my pocket, and probably going to replace my Z Fold with the Pixel Fold. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have the Pixel Fold, the V60 and stuff like that in my pocket, and this kind of pocket's gonna be sagging. I got to tighten up my belt.
Suspenders. You're getting some suspenders. What you're gonna need.
A holster.
When I use my V60, man, my V60 is a die-hard device. It gives me long battery life. It has pin support. I have desktop mode, wireless desktop mode. It got fantastic cameras. I mean, listen, man, people could talk about, I don't have 120 hertz displays and all that stuff like that. But as a person that know about development, person that know about coding, the app that you usually in is not at 120 hertz. So people got to understand that sometimes you got to get away from the fluff and the BS and understand the purpose of what you're trying to say and do. Because I know people always, they get on Google time when they come out with, devices that 60 hertz and all that stuff like that. If you're on your home screen and you scrolling up and down your home screen, yes, you had 120 hertz. But I bet you when you open up your banking app, that ain't at 120 hertz.
Bank of America's like, we really need you to transfer money at 120 hertz.
Right.
They don't give a shit about any of that.
Yeah.
No. and so we're clear. I know there's people in the chat talking about the Chromebooks. I'm not anti-Chromebook. Matter of fact, I bought two of them. One of Samsung.
Well, I was considering one for a long time. I love them. I just noticed that conversation for Chromebooks had really kind of like, it's really been either it's overshadowed by what Google's trying to do, or they kind of just stepped away from really actively pushing it and developing it, which is a shame, because I do have two Chromebooks. Actually, I gave them to my daughters for school, and then they proceeded to not go to school, and whatever, it's fine. I'm
sorry, Jojo. I didn't mean to listen. I love Chromebooks. I just think the use case scenario for in certain situations, and plus, if you look at the status of Chromebook, think about this: Samsung selling a Chromebook for like $1,200 or something. I mean,
they're not cheap. The Samsung, they're nice though. I mean, I have to give them, their hardware is beautiful.
Who buys a Chromebook for $1,000? That's the thing. Like, I mean, you could get a good i5 processor with a good laptop at $600 with an i5.
$550, maybe you get a flash, maybe $450 or something. You're in,
And so you look at the Chromebook compared to a real PC, it's like night and day. I mean, I would pay $1,000 for a Chromebook, man. Come on now, But I mean, I mean, they put an i7 processors in Chromebooks. And I'm like, just they don't even have an operating system on it. I mean,
it's like, it is Chrome OS. You don't need an i7. You know that, right? It's kind of like putting like a warp engine in a car. You can do it, but do you really need to? No. I like I said, I bought an Acer Chromebook. I think I spent like $345.
Yeah, I got a
Best Buy, and it was beautiful. I had blue color. It was great, man. It was awesome. I like using it. I took it to work. Hell, now I can't use it at work because we got all this special shit we got to do. Like I have iPhones, but I will say that the funny thing with my foldables, because I do have the Duo, and I've got Flippy Dippy, right? I've got Flippy Dippy.
Yeah.
People like at Android, like iOS users go, Oh man, like yeah, well, I'll tell you, that's when you know if foldables are going to take off as a mainstream device is when Apple does it. Then you will see Apple users go, "Oh, that's cool."
I'm not rushing Apple though. I mean,
I'm not. I think it's going to be at least 3 to 5 years before they. And I think they will go with this form factor before they go to a foldable. I think they'll go.
I reckon so.
Look, don't get me wrong. I have the door open for Apple to make their foldable. It's going to be great. Here's the problem that I got. And it's only one problem. Not saying that it's not going to be the best thing. Not saying that I think Apple will influence the price. And I think the price is the one that I am going to be it is going to drive the market up. I think Apple's going to drive the market up when it comes down to the price, because I'm going to tell you, a lot of people believe that Apple might come out with a foldable at a under $1,000 price point. And I'm going to tell you, if you know Apple the way I know Apple, ain't no way they going to be under $2,000. That thing going to be at least $2,500 to $3,000 easy. And I say, and what happens is, okay, Samsung, we hearing that the Z Fold 5 is going to have $100 increase this year, right?
So what are you like $18.99 now? Is that what we're
$19.99? I think
wasn't the first one right at $2,000, right?
Yeah, the first one was 19. Yeah, the first one was 2,000.
So we're now back to that first iteration of the. We're at that.
Right.
Well, you mean, you don't have to buy a foldable, but I know Apple is going to use the Apple tax.
Oh yeah. Think about if you look at Apple history, I mean, they sell wheels for $1,000 for Christ's sakes, right? They sell
that's true. Oh Jesus, yeah.
They sell a monitor for $6,000.
Well, they have the cloth. How much was the cloth?
$20, right?
Although, to be fair, it's kind of a pimp cloth. It's actually really nice.
But I mean, they sell a 27-inch monitor for $6,000 or something, right?
That definitely not in my wheelhouse. I mean, I don't get me wrong.
You get the cloth free with it.
I will say though, I told this on the channel, and I will say to people, I'm not anti-iOS. If they made a foldable or flippable, I would give it a try. That might be what gets me back into using an iOS device and see how I like it. I don't know. I haven't used iOS in a while.
Listen, everything in my studio, I have a Mac Studio, I got Mac Minis, I got iPads up the wazoo, I got all the iPhones, which I don't use no iPhones, but I do use the iPads, and I do. My main, besides my Samsung Deck Station, I use Mac Studios. I'm in the Apple ecosystem heavy. Me and my uncle, my daughter, they all on iOS, right? I'm just not cool. Their phones are that, I can't do nothing with their phones. But as far as everything else, I'm knee deep in the Apple ecosystem. So if Apple does come out with a foldable, and I might get sucked up and back into the Apple ecosystem and go all out on Apple, say I got the foldable, I got the Macs, I got MacBook Pros, MacBook Airs, I got everything here. I might as well go full head on Apple. But Apple, their phones are something that I'm just not there with their phones, right? Because
I just love Android. I can't. I can't.
I love that.
I mean, and it's not, and again, it's personal preference. Now, I mean, I can't get a date, which is okay because I'm married. I don't need a date, but it's fine. But I don't get it. It's all good, man. Like I said, here's the thing. Use whatever you want to use. I mean, if Apple's your jam and you got peer pressure because all your friends are using it and you want to use it because that's what you want, do you, boo? It's fine with me. But like I said, I just realized that, if you're a true techie, like you have to embrace it all. Like let it all happen, right? I'm just ashamed because I realize that in the world we can't keep having the HTCs and the LGs and the Windows phones, right? And the Palms, right? I realize those things die out, like Betamax, right? I realize, but man, I really wish Microsoft would just push the pedal on Windows Phone, just kept dumping money into it. Like, it's funny, they did it with Xbox.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they've ever made money on Xbox's platform. I mean, maybe Game Pass, but I mean, they keep selling console after console, and I think they still sell at cost or at a loss. But it's like, it's funny with the and I had a band too. I still have it. It's in the drawer. I love that device.
Yeah,
had built-in golf courses, right? It was great. Maybe just load up. Dude, I loved my band too. I know I had one that didn't break, but it's just a shame to see my favorite tech
things that I really want to, and I just hate to see the homogenization of tech, right? Where we're going to be in a world where it's just two or maybe shit in the United States. Maybe in 5 years, it might just be iOS. That may be the only thing you really have. I know. Well, I don't want it to be that way, but I mean, it's. I mean, look around. I mean, there's a lot of iOS engagement in the U.S., especially with carriers, and I don't see that abating. I see it accelerating.
I mean, being real about it, walk in the mall, right, and look what people have in their hand. Just walk in the mall.
iPhones,
right? When my daughter was in school, right before she graduated, we went to different functions. Was in the auditorium, and I'm in the phones and all that. So first thing I'm looking at what people using. And when you walk in the malls, you go to high school stadiums, and you go to football games and all that. What do you see? You don't see Galaxy Folds all over the place. You don't see
S22s, S23s, and various iPhones of some ilk. And maybe every once in a while a Moto, just because you want to be cool.
Right, you might see a little child with a little Motorola phone or something like that.
Hand me down, yeah.
Right.
I mean, but what do you see? You see those street cameras on the back. That's what you're seeing, and that's all iOS devices. Mm-hmm. That's all you see everywhere I go. All I see is iPhones everywhere. When I travel, when I went to New York, when I was in Atlanta, when I in Louisiana, when I go to Texas, everywhere I go I see majority of iOS devices everywhere. When you look up, you see an iPhone. When you look everywhere, just everywhere. So I do understand that Android is selling, but you just don't see them.
No.
And Michael's point is exactly, and he makes a further point here that 90% either had an iPhone or plan to get an iPhone as their next phone. So like they were handed maybe like a Galaxy S10, right, an S9 or a Note 10 or whatever, and I'm telling you, in high schools, man, that culture of forcing kids to use it is a real thing.
That's a real thing. Yeah.
And I don't think people realize that. And remember, Eric, those are the new consumers.
Yes.
In 5 to 10. Those are the new consumers in 5 to 10 years. They're going to be the ones
bloody worrying, isn't it?
Well, you guys are okay in the EU because, like I said, we had the EU. You made the comment about the EU. They're regulatory. They're fucking gangsters, man. They're like, you got to use Lightning.
Replaceable battery by 2027.
That's right.
All for it.
That's how funny is that, Eric? We're gonna have to rely on the goddamn EU to save our asses.
I know, because our politicians in the United States have no clue.
They're soft as puppy shit is what they are. No, I'm just kidding.
It's the whole IP rating thing, though, with that, isn't it? That's the challenge.
No, but I'm telling you right now, man, give me a replaceable battery. I'll take that all day. I had 3 950 batteries.
Dude, it rains a lot here.
That's true. It does rain a lot in the UK. So I get you, man. So it's just crazy. So, and again, like I said, we're actually at like almost over. We're over like almost an hour and a half. We're at that point. So, and this is what happens when you have one of my favorite creators on
and I've just been a spectator today.
Hey man, I'm sorry.
No, I feel
no, it's all good. It's all good. There's a reason why you're called the tech preacher.
Yeah, preach.
I'll let you preach, man.
Yeah,
and joking.
I loved it.
Like I told him, I was like, I told him, I said, I reached out to Eric, and Eric's gonna come on, and I'm like, and he's like, are we still on? I'm like, fuck yeah, we're still on. Unless I go into the hospital, maybe, and I'll do it from my goddamn bed. I'll do it I'll be like this, going, yeah, Eric, it's good. Out, yeah, okay, draw blood, it's fine. It's fine. There was no way. Like I said, I try to be, and I don't get, to me, I try to approach everybody like, hey, you're coming on our show. I want to be fair and honest, right? I don't want to get all.
I reached out to you. I was like, hey,
I was like, man, I can't believe that Eric's coming on a show, and it's like it's been, like I said, I've been following your channel for a long time in its iterations, and even on your down and up slopes, and like I said, I just really appreciate.
So we can't believe anyone comes on our show.
Well, that's true. We're not, I guess, like I was telling him, I was like, we're not exactly a Joe Rogan experience over here, right? So it's like, exactly. So for you to take a time, hour and a half out of your Sunday, with it's family time and that kind of thing, it's very much appreciated. And like I said, I can't honestly say that it's not a little bit more of a personal thing because I am a fan of your channel and will continue to be in the future. And that kind of thing. I like your work. I really enjoy what you do.
Well, I work hard, and I'm still growing. I feel that I'm still at my beginning stages. So I believe that I still have a long way to go. And I'm committed to my community. I'm committed to being truthful, truth and justice, no matter what. I'm committed to working hard, no matter what, for my fans, for everybody. So I will not give up. I will always just be there for my people, be there for my community, be there for content creators. So that's my ultimate goal, is to, we all go work together, we all go flourish together, we all go, go to the next level together.
Absolutely. And like I said, we appreciate that. And anything we can do in our limited capacity of trying to broadcast everything else, we will do that. Like I said, and again, we appreciate you taking your time and coming on the show. And I always realize that you have an open door. Please come back at any time, and any time that your schedule allows, and we'd love to have you on to see what else that Eric is doing in the future of this channel. Joe,
Simon says Hypno. Simon says Hypno's hit the nail on the head, right? He says, I love Eric's authenticity. That's the word, authenticity. Yeah. Anyone listening to this podcast, they will realize how authentic you are. And if they don't go and watch your channel, I'll be shocked.
And I think most people are, but like I said, it's we'll make sure we put show notes in the chat and try to drive maybe a couple of people your way. That
couple of people,
yeah. I mean, the ones that don't already probably follow you.
Yeah.
But and we, like I said, we're really, like I said, no pluffs, no passes, right? We appreciate all, and so we appreciate that. And like I said, please go check him out, engage in his channel. And also reach out if you've got comments about it. Be respectful. But if we're all good. If people in the chat say, "Hey Sam, hey Joe, you guys," we would love that. And if you want to tell us we're just a bunch of blathering fucktards, we're okay with that too. Because like that, we just show up and try to do right for it. But we at least try to be ourselves. If that moves the needle, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. We're all right with that. All right.
That's right.
All right, Joe. Anything else before we let Eric get some of his life back instead of hanging out with this?
I mean, I could go on a lot longer, but yeah.
Well, of course. I can have we have one of those. And next time we have you on, Eric, I'd like to hear more about your streams, because I know the streams weren't kind of a thing in your channel. I'd like to talk more about that at some other point, like how that's going.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask. You went from Eazy Computer Solutions to Tech Preacher.
Yes.
What that entailed, but that's for another show.
No, we've got extra time in football, right? We got a couple of minutes. Let's just while we're here.
So one of the things that I was contemplating, right, is that when I started my YouTube channel, my whole plan of thought was to talk about computers and computer programming and stuff like that. But as my YouTube channel started getting into phones, tablets, and other things, I started saying to myself, man, I'm preaching about tech, right? And I'm actually, I'm calling myself Eazy Computer Solutions, but then I started calling myself the Tech Preacher. And what I did was, and this been years in the making, by the way. So about 2 years ago, maybe about a year and a half ago, I hit my community tab and I asked people. I was thinking about changing the YouTube channel to the Tech Preacher. I was asking for feedback. And the first time I did it, I actually got a lot of negative feedback and said, hey,
really? I love it.
Yeah. I know, but this what happened. I got some negative feedback. People was like, oh, well, people in the religious community may be upset about it.
Right. The preacher approach may be kind of rubbing people, like say, because people are devoutly religious. Yeah, they may not like that. Because I get that.
One of the reasons why I had to change my funeral videos, right? I used to do funeral videos.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember those.
Because people was attacking. I was getting some DMs and emails saying that, hey, I'm showing crucifixes and stuff like that. So people was getting upset, right? So people was getting upset that I was using. So when I started doing my recent funeral videos, which I haven't done one in a while, I stopped using the crucifixes. So if I use it very limited. And I tried not to, use certain things because I got a lot of feedback on, stuff like that. Some of the things I did in my funeral videos, and I didn't want to alienate the religious community. So what made me change my name to the Tech Preacher, because I felt at that time, right, and I said, you know what, I need to do it, right? And I got the thumbnail together, me with the praying hands and stuff like that. But I wanted people to know it's all about tech. It's all fun. It's not really nothing to be too serious about. And so when I changed the name, once I changed the name, I waited about 24 to 40 because I was gonna change it back if I was gonna get a lot of negative. But no, it was positive. I put it on Twitter and stuff like that, Facebook, and the response was positive. And everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I love it." They love the thumbnail. They love the name. You call yourself the Tech Preacher anyway. Why not?
I think it suits you. I think it really does.
I think it's a great approach, and it's a good rebrand. And you might have a couple people that it rubs the wrong way, but those probably were people that probably were just going to not really engage anyway. So So there. See.
There you go.
So you got bonus.
We've got the extra time in there. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. 3 minutes extra time.
I am available to answer you guys' questions. Absolutely, man. Like I just want to let everybody know that I'm here for the tech community. I'm here for y'all guys. I'm here for my people. One thing about it is I'm here for my people. Do I get everything right all the time? No. Do I have to delete and block people and ban people on my YouTube channel all the time?
Sure, it's a full-time job, probably. Yeah.
Right. And so, I just want people to understand me. Will I ever change it to this? Hi guys. No, listen, man. I'm me. I'm me. I'm going to be me, and I won't be somebody that I'm not. And so that's why I try to do my best to give you the best content and be real about it. When I talk about no fluff, no pass, listen, a lot of companies and a lot of people believe, and this is what some of the things that I get from people when I started talking about no fluff, no passes, when I make the Evil Twin video, I kind of go off a little bit. It's all comic skits, right? No big deal. But I do get people in the YouTube community hit me up and say, hey, you might want to tone it down. You're going to miss out on your this. And the people, they want to see a little more. Listen, man, I run my channel like this. I want people to be comfortable when they come to my channel. I want people to understand it's going to be laid back. I said this in one of my podcasts. Me, I'm you. I'm you. I mean, I'm the same person as you. And so I want you to understand.
We're all just doing the same thing. We're all just tech enthusiasts trying to get interested in having discussions and trying to poke each other's brain, and then having good honest debate about explain to me why you think the V60 is the best device you've ever used. And like I don't know, maybe it is, and it is. By the way, I love the V60.
And the thing about it is, just like with every content creator out there, and everybody that has tech, everybody has personal preference. Everybody that have a certain device that they absolutely love. It don't matter what anybody would tell you. You can't let nobody influence you on giving up your beloved device because it's old or it's outdated or something like that. If that device works for you, it does everything that you want it to do, then don't let nobody influence you otherwise, because that's where the peer pressure. How could an adult tell another adult that they need to upgrade their phone?
Well, that's fine. If you got a couple $1,000, sure.
I mean, it's my job, but I still it's my job, but I still say to people,
here's how it goes. Hashtag Lumia 1030, hashtag V70. That's all I'm saying. It's never gonna happen, but goddamn, I wish it would. Anyway,
yeah.
R.I.P. Huawei.
Absolutely. So again, Eric, thanks for stopping by. Again, the door is always open. I appreciate you, your candor and your professionalism, and you stopping by and having a conversation with us. It means a lot, and we really thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, massively.
Happy to be there.
All right, so that is it for the Nomad Tech Project for July 16th. 2 days from now, it'll be my 48th birthday, by the way. So
hey,
it's the gray. I'm getting old. Anyway, so enjoy your check. Watch Eric's stream. Watch other creative streams. Engage. Be respectful. Have a good time. And you know what? Enjoy your tech. And be excellent to each other, man. Don't be a dick. Basically,
don't be a dick. Skin your shit.
And skin your shit. Extremeskins.co.uk. I'm telling you, we need to just get like little audio bits.
Just shove it in there and then.
Because and also the Purposely Pixel YouTube channel. That's where our show goes on. So we'll be back next Sunday. We'll have another special guest. I believe it's Steve Litchfield from Phone.
It is indeed. Yep.
So you might want to check that out. That'll be a kind of fun one. If you can participate in the stream like everybody else is, great. If you decide to listen to the show afterwards and download it, tell all your friends, that'll work too. Or if not, if you just think we suck and you don't want to listen to us because we're a bunch of morons, hey, you know what? That's fine. It's a free country.
Just let us know with constructive criticism.
Or just tell us we suck. Make it tell me.
No. You can tell Sam he sucks, but not me.
Yeah, I suck. All right. For myself, for Eric, for Joe, thanks for stopping by. Everybody in the chat, thank you for contributing. It was like awesome chat, Jermaine. And also Jimmy gave us 2 quid. That was pretty sweet. So
Jimmy, the Fire Dragon legend.
All right, man. You guys will be back next Sunday, same time, same channel, doing the thing. We'll see you all then. Again, love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your tech. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.